Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is another episode of the Championship Roundup. So in this video we're going to be going over all the fixtures that took place on Boxing Day and yesterday as well. So in terms of the Championship, it was a pretty hectic time for the Championship. I mean, there was quite a lot of goals scored on Boxing Day, a couple of controversial decisions and red cards to talk over as well. So I'll be very interested to know what you guys thought of your team's performance. So make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you thought of your team's performance this weekend. I'll be very interested to know. Also, as well, let me know what you thought the goal of the weekend was and also the result of the weekend. It's not really the weekend, it was obviously Monday and Tuesday, but you know what I mean. Let me know in the comments down below what you did think of that. And as well as that, hopefully you guys did all have a fantastic Christmas, and hopefully as well you'll be able to tell an improvement on the camera quality, as I did get a new camera for Christmas. So hopefully you'll be able to see an improvement with the video quality in the upcoming videos, guys, and this one as well. But just before we get into any of the analysis, guys, of the games, I must talk you through quickly basically what the schedule is going to look like in terms of video uploads for this week. So you guys should be seeing this on Wednesday morning, and then tomorrow morning and Thursday morning will be when my week 19 score predictions come out, as there are games taking place on Thursday, I believe, which is quite weird for the Championship, but so make sure you guys do stay tuned for that. So tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock will be when that video is out, and then the day after that, on the Friday, I think I should get another episode of the Championship Project out, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So just before we get into any of my analysis of the weekend's games, guys, I will include your comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did manage to guess any of the scorelines this weekend, I will include your comment now. So fair play to everyone who did correctly guess a scoreline this time. I think in terms of myself, I managed to get 2 scores right this week, so that's not bad going for me myself. I got the Ipswich against Fulham score right, and I also got the Brighton score right as well. So to get 2 myself, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll take that myself. So the first game we had to talk about, guys, was the one taking place between Brentford and Cardiff. So this was the early kickoff on Boxing Day, and in the end it managed to finish all level as a 2-2 draw. And to be honest, I think that 3 points would have been quite massive actually for either of these sides, because both of them came into this game not really on the best of form. I think going into this one I was actually backing Brentford to get the victory, so a point really didn't do either of them too many favours going into this one. But I think one standout performer from this match had to be Kai from Brentford. He scored a fantastic goal. He actually managed to get 2 goals in this game, but I think it was his first goal, a curling effort into the top corner. Really was a fantastic finish from him. But I've got to say, Cardiff defensively still are looking pretty shaky. I think a couple of more additions in that need to be addressed in January. I think that's quite clear, you know, that Neil Warnock is actually going to address that in January. So I'm looking forward to seeing actually what Cardiff are going to do in this window. And Brentford as well, I think there's definite areas to improve, as that squad really has underachieved so far this season. But a 2-2 draw in the end didn't really do too many favours for either of them. And then our next game we had to talk about, guys, was the one taking place between Aston Villa and Burton Albion. So I'm sure that all you guys are aware of Burton Albion's current away record really isn't anything to shout about. They've currently not won a match away from home, so it was no real surprise when Aston Villa managed to walk away with a 2-1 victory. However, Burton Albion, I've got to give some credit to them, because they really were pushing Aston Villa in this game. And I mean, Aston Villa did have quite a few chances, but were quite wasteful with the majority of them that they actually had. And once again, it sort of painted Burton's picture so far, this sort of result, as they worked really hard but just couldn't manage to get anything out of it at the end of it. And it's games like this when they work so hard and just narrowly miss out where they're going to need to start picking up points if they're not going to get relegated at the end of the season. But Villa, once again, it wasn't the best performance from them, but they managed to get a result to take them up the table even further. And in the next game we have to talk about, guys, we have the game taking place between Barnsley and Blackburn, and in this one Barnsley managed to leave victorious with a 2-0 victory. So in this game, you know, Blackburn have suffered yet again another defeat, and there's no real shame in losing to Barnsley at this point in time, because they really are on a good run of form. So fair play to Barnsley for getting the victory. But Blackburn Rovers at this point in time really are looking in a bad run of form, and there's quite a number of these sides at the moment which really are getting not cut adrift, but they really are cementing their place down for this relegation fight at the end of the season. And Blackburn are one of them. I mean, they were probably left quite frustrated in this game, as later on they could have actually had the penalty. They had a penalty appeal which was waved away, but they weren't helped by a late red card, which sort of like summed up Barnsley's game really, and Blackburn's luck really not really turning for them. But like I said, Barnsley managed to leave victorious with a 2-0 victory. Troubling times for Blackburn. And then for our next feature, guys, we have the game taking place between Huddersfield and Nottingham Forest, where Huddersfield managed to walk away with a 2-1 victory. So I'm going to say that Mancienne probably had a game to forget in this one for Nottingham Forest. I mean, he scored an own goal and got a red card in the same match, so definitely was a game to forget for him. But even after Forest took the lead in this match, as they did go 1-0 up, they never really looked too comfortable with that lead, and you always had that inkling that Huddersfield were going to get back into the game and then turn it around, which of course they eventually did do that. But Huddersfield of course managed to turn it around, and I've seen a lot of pressure at the moment under Montagnier at Nottingham Forest, so I'd love to know some Nottingham Forest fans' opinions. Do you think it's too late now for Montagnier, and do you think you should give him the sack, because you've not really shown anything this season? I mean, you went on that one decent bit of run a couple of weeks ago, but since then you've not really improved since that, and defensive frailties once again showing up without a Sombolonga and Lansbury in the side. It looks like a really average Forest team, so let me know down below, Forest fans. And Huddersfield, once again, you know, it's a 2-1 victory, but you can't help feel like they could have had a few more goals in this game. And this season, actually, I don't think Huddersfield have had a game where they've scored more than 2 goals. So maybe that's a bit of a worry for Huddersfield going forward, but you can't argue with the 3 points. And then for our next fixture, guys, we have Ipswich coming up against Fulham, where in this one, Fulham managed to walk away with a 2-0 victory at Ipswich. And once again, this is the one that I actually managed to predict, so I was quite happy myself that I managed to get this one, saying it would end 2-0 to Fulham. And I've got to say, Fulham really were excellent in this match, and once again, are just bolstering that claim where they could be a serious contender for promotion this year, because albeit it was against an Ipswich side who made them look quite good, I mean, this Ipswich team really were poor in this fixture. But I'm not going to take anything away from Fulham, because some of the intricate passes they had going on in this game, you know, it's quite a summary actually of what we've seen from Fulham so far this season, but they really were excellent in this one. And once again, a poor roundup from Ipswich, which they really do need to improve on. And once again, Ipswich have another manager who's coming under serious pressure lately, that of course being Mick McCarthy. And Ipswich fans, do you think it's time for a change for Mick McCarthy? Let me know down below. I'd say in terms of standout performance for Fulham in this one, Tom Kenny had an excellent game, as did Johansson as well. So this fixture left Fulham in 8th place in the Championship and just knocking on the door for promotion. And then for our next fixture, guys, we have Preston North End, the team I support, coming up against Leeds United, where Leeds managed to walk away with a 4-1 victory. So I've got to say, first of all, that North End were very poor in this game, especially in the first half. We were very poor in this game and made this Leeds side, they weren't a great Leeds side, but we made them look very good. However, I did have that feeling where Leeds, they never really got out of second gear because we never required them to. I mean, at times in the first half, they literally just walked through us. So it really was poor from a Preston perspective. And fair play to Leeds, you know, they got the job done. But I don't really feel like 4-1 totally reflected how the game went. I mean, in the second half, I actually thought that Preston came out very well in the second half and were probably the better side in the second half until Jermaine Beckford went and got that red card. After that, that just completely killed the game, killed all the momentum Preston had as well, as we were 3-1 down at that point. But who knows, maybe we could have got 2 late goals or something like that with the way we were pushing. But I'm not going to take anything away from Leeds. They did look very impressive in this match. And Jermaine Beckford, Preston North End fans, let me know down below, what is your opinion on this? Jermaine Beckford, if you don't know, had just come back from a 3-game suspension. And what does he do? He gets brought on, and just 3 minutes into coming on as a substitute, he gets another red card. This time for, it was sort of like a kick on Kyle Bartley's head when he went down for a foul. But it was just we can't be accepting that sort of stuff, and it's just a bit embarrassing towards the club now. So I think, in my opinion, it probably is time for Beckford to leave Preston. I mean, out of this last 2 years, what have we got out of him? Probably like 5 or 6 games in the last 2 seasons from Beckford. So it's probably time for him to go. And Leeds United looking like serious contenders for promotion once again. And then for our next fixture, guys, we have Reading, who are coming up against Norwich. So for this one, Reading managed to walk away with a very impressive 3-1 victory over a struggling Norwich side at this point in time. So this is actually a massive victory for Reading, as it actually does keep the pressure on the top 2. And of course, with Newcastle losing, which we'll get to in a minute, this was a massive victory for Reading. I've got to say, in this match, they probably weren't even at their best for this game as well. I don't think too many Reading fans would disagree. I mean, from the heights they've hit this season, this game against Norwich probably wasn't their finest performance. However, they still managed to walk away with that victory, which I just think will be even more demoralising for Norwich and Alex Neil. I mean, I keep saying it week in, week out, the pressure keeps getting piled up, and it's just got to that point now when, when's the trigger going to be pulled by the Norwich board? I mean, if they are seriously going to stick with Alex Neil for the majority of the season, even with mid-table looking like what it's going to be now for Norwich for the rest of it, I would be quite surprised. I think a lot of Norwich fans will be quite surprised, as well if that would be the case. But another disappointing one for Norwich in this one. Fair play to Reading, they managed to get the victory. And then for the next matchup, guys, we have Rotherham, who came up against Wigan Athletic. So this one was just a really bizarre match, to be honest. I mean, I don't think many people give Rotherham much of a chance of winning any games at the moment, so fair play that they managed to come out of this one with a 3-2 victory, but boy did they make it hard for themselves. At half-time, Rotherham managed to see a 3-0 lead over Wigan, and when you're 3-0 up at half-time, really it should almost guaranteed be a victory at the end of it, but really they made it difficult for themselves. In the second half, Wigan showed an improvement. They managed to get 2 goals back and were very close to actually getting an equaliser, which really would have been harsh on Rotherham considering how they played in the first half. But Wigan, you know, had a really disappointing one. They'll have looked at that. I'm sure a lot of Wigan fans coming into this game against Rotherham, they'll have been looking at this really as they needed to get all 3 points from this run, really, to lift them out of that relegation zone, but that's not been the case in this one. Rotherham have looked quite impressive, to be fair to them, since they've got their new manager installed. So obviously he's only a temporary manager, but since he has come in, they've actually looked quite good. So fair play to Rotherham for getting the victory in this one. Wigan is looking at relegation now. And then for the next game we go into, guys, we have Wolves, who came up against Bristol City. So once again, a game filled with drama and quite a topsy-turvy match as well in the grand scheme of things. So in this game, Bristol City managed to see up a 2-1 lead. So once again, Bristol City really do need to get better at holding their leads, and when they do that, a couple of defensive errors once again, which has led to Wolves getting back into this game. But I'm not going to take anything away from Wolves in this match, because for spells in it, they were actually quite excellent. They actually played very well for spells in this game, Wolves. So I'm not going to take anything away from that, and I think it's clear to see the progress that Wolves have already started to make under Paul Lambert. So you know, considering where Wolves were left off under Walter Zeng, you know, really in a bad place in the table, in a bad place of form as well. But since then, you know, Paul Lambert, the improvements that he's been able to show, does look like Wolves are on the right run of form at the moment and going in the right direction. The same, however, can't really be said for Bristol City, who currently still find themselves in this disappointing slump. They'll be looking to come out of that as soon as possible. I mean, their recent run of form, you know, compared to that form, you know, I'd say like 2 months ago when they were in the playoffs, really isn't anything to shout about. So I'm sure Bristol City are going to be one of these teams in the transfer window which are going to be looking to turn their season around. But what do you think of it, Bristol City fans? Are you a bit frustrated with Lee Johnson now? And then for our next matchup, guys, we have Newcastle United, who came up against Sheffield Wednesday. So for this match, it was a really tough one to call, actually. So fair play to everyone who did actually call a Sheffield Wednesday victory for this one, because I couldn't really tell which way it would go. I was backing the Newcastle win, but that was not the case in this match. Sheffield Wednesday managed to take full advantage of a pretty lackluster Newcastle performance. It was sort of like, I don't know, it wasn't, I couldn't really see all of those Newcastle players putting in 100% effort to everything that they were doing in this match, and in the end that's come out to cost them, as Sheffield Wednesday had walked away with the victory. But perhaps a bit of that was contributed to John Joe Shelby being suspended for that match. Of course, he'll be out for the next 4 matches as well, so Newcastle really do need to find an improvement in that aspect. But I've got to say, I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans crying out for Rafa Benitez to play 2 strikers up front, especially at home, and I could see why in this match. I mean, they were crying out for a striker partnership in this match. I feel like if they'd started the game, let's say with a 4-4-2, with Gale and Mitrovic up front, I think this game could have turned out differently, but obviously that's not Rafa Benitez's way. He wants to stick to this 1 striker philosophy, which I think is coming back to bite Newcastle at the moment. Let me know, Newcastle fans, what you think of that. But fair play to Sheffield Wednesday, a fantastic victory. They stuck to their game plan in this match, and they've come out trumps for it. And then for our next fixture, guys, we have Brighton, who came up against QPR. So now we are into the Tuesday ones, and I actually predicted this one. I said that this one would end 3-0 to Brighton, and in the end it finished just that. So this defeat for QPR now means it is 6 on the bounce for them. So they just look to be in turmoil at the moment, being so close to the relegation zone and being in a run of form like that. Relegation could be a serious issue for QPR this season if they're going to continue on the current run of form which they're currently on. So QPR fans, let me know in the comments down below, are you seriously considering that relegation could be a possibility now for the remainder of the season? Because when I was watching this game, it just looked like a team of individuals, really. There was no chemistry between any of the players, and albeit they weren't expected to get anything from this match, with Brighton being as good as they have been lately, but a bit more of a performance from QPR was definitely expected for it. But fair play to Brighton, they managed to pick up all 3 points, and this matchup has actually left them, this victory has actually left them top of the Championship, with Newcastle slipping up. So I'm sure all the Brighton fans watching this video video will be absolutely buzzing. So fair play to Brighton, who managed to claim all 3 points in this game. And then for our last fixture, guys, we had Derby coming up against Birmingham. So in the end, Derby County managed to walk away with a slim 1-0 victory over Birmingham. So I've got to say, this probably wasn't the game of the weekend. It wasn't the best one in terms of a spectacle, but Derby managed to come through it, and this game actually leaves them just 1 point off the top 6. So a nice run of form, obviously, that Derby have gone under recently. But Birmingham in this game, once again, it was a slim defeat for Zola. Obviously, he came off the back of that slim defeat he had against Brighton. Once again, it's another slim defeat, so he'll be quite disappointed in terms of that. But it was a penalty which won Derby the game. Of course, Derby managed to take full advantage of that, and I think both sides will probably be looking to improve in this game. I don't think either of them were at their best, but Derby have taken all 3 points. Fair play to them. So there you have it, guys. That is all my analysis for this week's fixtures, guys. That has taken place. So in terms of my goal of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Sam Baldock of Brighton. He's got an absolute belter at the weekend. There were quite a few contenders actually for this one, so I'd love to know what you guys thought in the comments down below. But my goal of the weekend is going to be Sam Baldock. And then my result of the weekend is going to go to Sheffield Wednesday for walking out victorious with a 1-0 victory away to Newcastle. I think any side going away to St James's Park this season is going to find it as a bit of an uphill battle, but Sheffield Wednesday stuck to the task in hand that they had, and they did better than Newcastle in this one, and the results showed that. So my result of the weekend is going to be Sheffield Wednesday. So there you have it, guys. That will now wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated, as these videos take quite a while to actually edit and record and everything like that. But apart from that will now wrap it up for this video, guys. So make sure you leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you thought of your team's performance this weekend. I'd be very interested to know. And as well as that, make sure you stay tuned on the channel tomorrow, as that will be when my next video is out. That will be my week 19 score predictions. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. I always tweet before I upload a video, therefore I'll never miss a video ever again, guys. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.